Big Sills. 35 days until the start of training camp. 35 days. Here we are, man. Hey, by the way, kudos to the guys for getting Jason Kelsey. I listened to the interview. I'm going to comment on it here in a second. And some of the things he said about Siriani, Cam Jurgens, I really enjoyed. Tone gave me a little bit of an update on what he said about Jurgens, too. And I'm like, not surprised. But I first want to tell everyone out there the good news. We now have a brand new official home of the National Football Show with Big Sills. The Hooters King of Prussia has officially signed on as a sponsor of the Big Sills National Football Show. How you doing? Okay. In the Philadelphia area, our friend who owns the Hooters, and by the way, you guys know my relationship with Hooters goes back 35 years. I mean, we have done business with Hooters, God, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, San Diego, Dallas, Atlanta, and now Philadelphia. So, hey, so some of you are going to maybe get an opportunity to actually see Big Sills leave the Dan Cave. You bet, baby. Title sponsor. Not a title sponsor, but an official home for us, for all of us to get together and kind of crack a couple open and sit around and talk some sports. So we're looking forward to our relationship with the Hooters guys in the Philadelphia area. Thank you very much to Phil and everyone that made it happen. Joe Krause and all that. So how you doing, man? Brand new sponsor to the program, starting real soon. Thank you very much. As I said, 35 days to the start of training camp. I did listen to the Jason Kelsey interview. You know, I came away with one thing that Jason said about the head football coach, Nick Siriani. Nick Siriani is a guy who is a lot like Jimmy Johnson, except in the personnel side. But the one characteristic that they have, they don't get in the way. They get in the way when they have to get in the way. That was a true strength of Jimmy. Jimmy would go into every single meeting. O-line, D-line, DBs, linebackers, wide receivers, running back. But he would sit back and observe. And then he would basically give his opinion to his assistant coaches on what he's overseeing. So you know where Nick is improving as a coach? Is that the players see he's not getting in the way. That's a great attribute that a lot of coaches can't do. Look at the owner of the Cowboys. The owner of the Cowboys has to be involved. Nick's an observer, according to Kelsey, and I take his opinion more than anyone else that covers the team. You know, he watches him. He goes, hey, I heard something else that I thought was critical. I think you guys should all go back and listen to that interview, by the way. JAKIB Sports, go back, man. It's a great one. He said that, you know, I get more out of his team meetings than I've ever gotten out of any coach that I've ever played for in my career. That's a pretty big statement because most of those meetings, those team meetings, are kind of just get together. Then you break off into your individual coaches. Then you go work out. Then you practice. And those team meetings are usually bullshit. They usually mean nothing. Okay? They usually mean nothing. But he says they're productive. That's not a shocker. Pretty much everything in that building is productive. From the personnel department to the culture of the team, everything that they do is productive and with a sense of urgency. And I would also say with a championship mentality. It's a really great organization, and it's well done. You know, when I first got the ability to start talking about the Eagles, I didn't really know what kind of organization it was because I had heard all kinds of things about Howie and how he gets in the way and such. And I would say that he's a different general manager the second go around here. But they're doing a great job at maintaining. Dude, the most important thing is the energy in the building, that they keep going. Okay? They really do keep an energy going in that building. So I would say this about Siriani. Remember I said that he's kind of just like a librarian? I think there's more of a key role in that, because when you hear Kelsey talking about him and the respect that he has, that's more than just a librarian or a guy who's a CPA. Okay? There's it's kind of the guy who kind of keeps everything together. He's kind of, would we all say this about Siriani? He really doesn't have any influence at all in any way whatsoever with the play calling, defense or offense, but he's kind of the glue to the whole thing. Does that make sense? He's kind of, that's my takeaway on how Jason Kelsey sees him. He's kind of the glue that keeps it kind of all together. That's a talent. That's a talent. Okay? That's a talent. CEO mentality? Yeah, because the CEO is not going to go to department heads and sit around and listen to every department head. What he's going to do is observe, and then he's going to go to situations that he thinks. So would we say this, Yale, that he's more of kind of like a problem solver? That where there's areas that need to be addressed, he addresses it. And how about this? Siriani, and this was, again, my takeaway from listening to Jason Kelsey today with the guys on Sports Take talking, was that he's not going to get involved if things are going well with something. He's going to leave it alone. But if things need to be addressed, that's, like I said, he's kind of like a problem solver. All right. Remember, they had an issue with the DTs. Well, they all figured it out. Howie, Jonathan Gannon, and Nick, they all figured it out. Put it all together. Hey, we need some help. Let's see if we can go on the open market and find somebody. They figured it out. Right? How do we replace the coordinators? Well, we kind of figured it out. Stay in-house on one side. Because, quite frankly, get this. The reason you stay in-house on the right side of the ball, which is the offense, is because the quarterback doesn't need a lot of coaching. Does this make sense? There's really not a lot of coaching that's going to be needed on the offensive side of the ball. So why not keep that in-house? Whereas on the defense, why don't we get a consultant in the room too, along with Sean Desai? Let's get a consultant like Matt Patricia, just to make sure we're all on the same page. It's not a diss on Sean Desai. It's just more help on that side of the ball. Is that fair? That's Sirianni's role. So I think it's a more demanding role. Look at what Sean McVay does with the Rams. You think Sean McVay has anything to do with Raheem Morris and that defense in Los Angeles? Or some of the offensive, or like, how much do you think Andy Reid really sits down with Steve Spagnuolo in Kansas City and goes over formations and shit like that when it comes to taking on it? I'm not saying Andy's not involved in it, but do you think he really sits down and goes, hey, I think we should run this defense on this particular play? I don't think Andy does that. Whereas Nick listens. And I think Nick is I would say Nick is probably more, is this fair? Nick is probably more involved in the offense and defense than what Andy Reid is involved with Kansas City's offense and defense. Andy's knee deep in the offense in Kansas City, right? Okay? I don't really think he's that knee deep when it comes to Kansas City's defense. You got a great coordinator on that side of the ball. Tony says, Dan, the offense has a new senior guy installed as well as Patricia. Marcus Brady is in the new offensive role. Okay, more thought process in the room there too. Okay, probably fair enough. And Andy's the play caller. That's right too, yeah. So he's got to be more focused on that offensive side of the ball. Absolutely. I saw the ESPYs also. And by the way, I suggest you go back. We'll talk a little more. Oh, wait. Let me hit on this thing here, too, that he said. I was very encouraged to have Tone tell me that Jason Kelsey said that Cam Jurgens is going to be, he thinks Kelsey better than him. Boy, I'll tell you something. That is quite a compliment. That's quite a compliment. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer saying that there's a kid that's behind me that's going to be better than me. I don't think a guy like Jason Kelsey throws those kind of kudos around. He doesn't come off like that kind of dude to me. Oh, this guy's phenomenal. And then he's really not. I don't think you got dudes in that building like that. I really don't. I know Kelsey was part of the whole evaluation that brought him into Philadelphia, but that is quite a statement. To hear a future Hall of Famer say, there's a kid on our team better than me. Now, I don't know if that translates into that kid winning the right guard position, because he's talking about him replacing him at center. So, Tone, remember, just because he's going to be a great center, according to Jason, that doesn't mean he'll be a good guard. It's two different skill sets, but the potential's there. And when I hear a guy, hey, if a coach told me that a guy is going to be better than this guy or this guy, I don't believe a word he says because it's coach talk. But when a player says it, especially a player of that stature, I believe it. I completely believe that Jason Kelsey thinks that guy is going to be better. Kelsey was like, I want Cam to take my job as a vet. You have two options. You can either support the future or become a figment of the past. It's a tremendous way of looking at being, but you know what, Tone? I want to read that again to you, and I want to tell you why he can say this. Kelsey made these comments here. As a vet, you have two options. You can either support the future or become a figment of the past. Well, there's a reason that you could talk like that, because you've built a tremendous legacy. Players who don't have legacies like that can't talk like that. Okay? He's got a legacy that he's completely comfortable. Tone, I think it's wonderful that you've paraphrased it that way, because if that was your takeaway, that's what he meant. Okay? But his legacy, he's very proud of it and what he's accomplished, and he should be. Okay? That's how guys who have excelled talk. Hey, man, I can't wait to see the future, because you know why? Jason Kelsey's part of Eagle history now. There's very few players in that organization's history, or in any football organization's history. You know, Rob and the guys talk about some of the legendary players that have played at particular organizations, and you name some of the guys that come to your mind when you talk Eagles or Giants or Cowboys or 49ers or Patriots or what have you. And those guys are the history of those organizations that come to your mind. Those are guys that can talk like that. Lawrence Taylor with the Giants, or Sayers and Butkus, Peyton with the Bears, and people like that, man. If you ever talk to any of those guys, they're so comfortable with who they are. And they want the future to be great. Yeah, he has. I'll tell you this about Kelsey. Kelsey's character carried him a long way in his work ethic. Okay? And he made himself into a superstar player. Okay? He said winning the Super Bowl doesn't compare to losing it. Nothing makes you hungrier than losing a Super Bowl. Again, it's a championship mentality. Here's something else to think about as well. When you're talking about guys in your franchise's history, like Jason Kelsey, Jason Peters, people that have really made an impactful time when they were Philadelphia Eagle or part of your favorite team. Always remember when you are listening to guys like here, I've always made this comment about Mariano Rivera. Man, We can't sit around and talk about Mariano Rivera's greatest accomplishments. We talk about his failures because you know why? There were so few of them. When you talk about the thing you think about sometimes the most with Mariano Rivera is not that he was the most dominant closer in the history of baseball, but his failure in the Diamondback series. There were so few failures. The comeback of the Red Sox. Those guys remember those failures more than they. How many times have you heard Tom Brady talk about his loss to Nick Foles and his 2 losses to Eli? He talks more about those losses than his Super Bowl wins. Those things will always be on your mind. Dude, again, in a small microcosm of my life, man, I will never get over in my entire life losing a football game to Penn State, the national championship, where people were telling me, if you guys win this game, you would have been on the greatest football team in the history of college football. Can you imagine that? And like Brady playing against the Eagles. Dude, I played my greatest game. I led my team in tackles. I started the game out with a sack, 15-yard sack. They only had 6 first downs. We lost. It eats at me all the time. Eats at me all the time. So close to perfection. Dude, I got rings. But that game will always stick out as something that, to me, man, what could have been. They call us the greatest team ever to win a national title. That's not a good compliment. Some look at it as that's not a good compliment. Jerome and I walking off the field together, he looked at me and he goes, God dang it. Can you believe it? I go, no. We played our best game together that game. We walk off the field, man. We hugged each other. And we never forgot that game. Never forgot that game. So Kelsey's Super Bowl loss, absolutely, man. That emotion will always be more than the one can you imagine this? Sadness makes you think longer than happiness. Think of that. It's true, isn't it? Bad moments in your life make you think longer than the great moments. We try to channel out the bad moments. Try to channel out the bad moments. You can't. They stick around forever, and they last longer than the good moments. Shit, man, we played in so many great games, had so many great sports moments in my life. Dude, the ones that I still remember are the failures. No doubt, man. He's a pleasure to listen to. No wonder his podcast kicks ass. He and his brother, man, in my opinion, dude, WIP or that other thing they got there in Philly, or even us, I don't know. We should, somebody's going to give them a talk show. They should do a daily talk show when they're all done. That thing would be number one. I don't know if you could pay them, especially with today's non-radio money, but I could. Hey, would you listen? Guys, in Philadelphia, people in Philly, Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey had a radio show for 2 hours on WIP. Would you listen every day? No matter what the season was? I know I would. Because it'd be entertaining. I'd love that, man. Okay? I would totally listen to that. Yale goes, Kelsey might want to go into the front office. Jason, you're talking. Probably so. Probably. Why sell them? Why sell that? Make them, okay. They can make more with their own show. Probably that's probably what's going to go on with their podcast. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So the ESPYs have come out. The nominations. A couple Philly guys. The best NFL player. Boza, Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes. NBA, Butler, Embiid, Joker, Jason Tatum. Embiid's not winning that one. That will go to Joker at the ESPYs. But it might not, because you know why? I doubt the Joker comes back for the ESPYs. He'll probably stay overseas. He probably will not come back. So they may give that award to Embiid. We're going to have a little fun with that. The Big Sills Awards. We're gonna have a little fun. It's not going to be long, but we're going to have a little fun with that. So we'll do this. All right. Monster says he misses Angelo in WIP. Of course you do. He's the most talented guy in radio history in Philadelphia. Of course you do. There's nothing on that station now. Take a look at WA Fayan's new lineup. That's nothing listenable. It's about the fan. Dude, but then again, Monster, don't worry about it. You know why? WIP's hosts aren't really, they're pawns. You guys are the ones that make it happen. The fan base in Philadelphia moves the needle on that station. It's not the host. Dude, you could put anybody in there. You could put anybody in there. Won't matter. All right. The All Sills Awards. I like that. Okay? I like that. All right. Is Niner in here yet? Because he accuses me of going back and doing old material. So I decided to do something. By the way, somebody made some remarks about the Eagles. I'm going to get to that here in a second as well. So Niner, one of our very loyal viewers, made a comment. Oh, we're going over the schedule again. Okay. Well, 3 questions the 49ers have to answer, in my opinion, if they are going to dethrone the Eagles as NFC champions. I think they're going to be a formidable group. I do. But again, on June 22nd, they still don't have their quarterback thing figured out. Niner. Hey, Sue, don't worry about Niner. Because Niner right now is having his, like, you know, because 49er fans, what they do, they sit out right now probably, because it's like noontime in California. Got to remember what they do. Kind of like the English when they have tea. Right now in California, it's white wine spritzer time and cheese. So they have their white wine spritzer and cheese now. They're kind of like the English. People who live in California are kind of like the English. Okay, you know, it's white wine spritzer time or Chardonnay time. Then it's cheese time. Okay, I mean, so you got to remember that, okay? See, when you're back east, like where I'm from, hey, man, it's hot dog and hamburgers and beer time, baby. We don't sit around drinking white wine spritzers or a lemon seltzer. I'm not going to drive up to Marin County and go on the patio. Okay? So here are my 3 questions for the 49ers. If they're going to dethrone the Eagles as NFC champions, can the coach protect the quarterback? Can they protect the quarterback? Every single quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has had has been injured. Okay? Can the 49ers protect their quarterback this year? When's the last time the Niners had a quarterback start from week 1 until the final game of the season? When's the last time they've had that happen? I mean, can a quarterback in San Francisco ever play 17 games? Can you get through a full season? I mean, hey, Quan, Jimmy G, I guess the Super Bowl year, right? The Super Bowl year? Okay. Guys are saying Kaepernick. Well, that was Jim McMahon. Okay? I mean, that was Jim McMahon. So the first question I would ask, can the head coach Kyle Shanahan protect the quarterback this year? Will he? Here's the second one. This, again, 3 questions the Niners have to answer if they're going to dethrone the Eagles as NFC champions. Here's another one. When does Kyle Shanahan win a big game? When will he win a big game? When will that guy win a big game? Dude, Nick Sirianni's already won a big game before him. Now, look, I mean, as much shit as I give Nick, has Kyle Shanahan won more big games than Nick Sirianni? Nick Sirianni's got an NFC title to his name. So does Kyle. But Kyle gets so much more love because his last name is Shanahan, not because he's a good coach. People look at Shanahan. Dude, if his name was Mike Sherman, would he be thought of in the same light if his last name wasn't Shanahan? I don't think so. When does that coach in San Francisco win a big game? So here's 2 things out of the gate here already when you're talking about the 49ers. And if you really think the 49ers are going to dethrone, if you think they're going to dethrone the Eagles, here, watch this. Can the Eagles protect the quarterback? They do. Can the Eagles win big games? They do. The Niners haven't answered any of those questions yet. Or as much. Dude, Kyle Shanahan is not. He is not more accomplished, in my opinion, than Sirianni is. He's not. Not as a head coach. He's had more time and more control. He's the play caller. Nick was a play caller, too, in Indianapolis. Maybe it's time for Shanahan to give the play calling up and hand it over to someone else and be more of a coach like Nick. You might go further. I don't know. And then having your dad and you be more of kind of like observers like Sirianni is. Just saying, man. Here's another question for the coach in San Francisco. When is he going to call consistent games? Can he call big games? Can he put a great game plan together for big games? These game plans, not winning big games, not protecting the quarterback. Am I off base when I say this to Kyle Shanahan? Am I making this up when I'm talking about the head coach of the 49ers? He can't protect his quarterback. He doesn't win big games. And his play calling at times is not consistent. Am I wrong here? And look, again, I know we kid that fan base a lot, but am I off base here with this? Because all I hear is how great a coach he is. Shit, man, I've heard people rank him one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL. Why? The guy in Cincinnati's better. The guy in Cincinnati is a better coach, in my opinion. Well, he's got Joe Burrow. Okay, so you still got to win with those guys. Minnesota wins a lot of games too, but they don't win any significant games. The guy, and they got Cousins in a shitty NFC. Okay? I mean, every single one of these things I just said about Kyle Shanahan, I think applies. Is Nick Sirianni a better coach than Kyle Shanahan? Is he a better coach? Is Sirianni, and listening to Jason Kelsey today, that team loves him. I'm not saying the Niner guys don't like Kyle Shanahan. I'm not saying that. But is Nick a better coach? Why? He's just as accomplished. He's been to a Super Bowl too. What has Kyle Shanahan done? NFC West, pretty good division. I'd say it's compatible and comparable to the NFC East. I think the Giants are overrated, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are they underachieve. The Cowboys underachieve every year, and they have for 25 years. Okay? Yeah, you know what his record is, Steve, without having Garoppolo in the building? Last year was the best year he had without having Jimmy G there the majority of the time. And Jimmy G was still there last year a lot of time. Jimmy G had a great record as a starter in San Francisco. And for San Francisco just to let that guy walk out the building, not knowing, hey, get this. So you let go of your most experienced pilot and Jimmy Garoppolo for guys that are inexperienced pilots to fly your plane this year in the 2023 NFL season. I don't know about you, but I don't feel confident in that. It just doesn't seem again that the 49ers are prepared at the most important position again. I don't know. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but have they been? And get this. Yale, everyone. Do you know what the greatest thing that happened to the 49ers last year? They got lucky with the last pick in the draft. That's not skill. They got lucky. Because if they thought the guy was great, they'd have drafted him in the second round. To say that, hey, we drafted this guy and he was the last pick in the draft, that was a plan, is stupid. It's like telling me that the Patriots planned on drafting Brady in the 6th round. The Purdy draft pick salvaged last season for him. That wasn't strategically done. So he had an element of luck last year. There was an element of luck that saved the season after Garoppolo hurt his foot. Okay? Remember when Shanahan was with Denver and on a Monday night made Greasy shoot up the shoulders to beat the Raiders, then cut him in training camp? I don't really think much of the Shanahan name. The guy ended up running Dan Reeves out of town, probably rightfully so because Elway wanted him. Okay? Elway wanted him out of town. They ended up winning Super Bowls, no question about it. But Shanahan backstabbed everybody he could to get that job. I guess that's the business, so all right. And he was a colossal failure with the Raiders. And let's be candid here. John Elway and Terrell Davis saved the legacy of what Mike Shanahan ended up building. Is Mike Shanahan a Hall of Fame coach? I don't think so. How's Mike Shanahan a Hall of Fame coach? He won 2 Super Bowls. Okay, I guess he'll get in. Or he may be already in. I don't know. I don't look at him as, like, if I had to have a coach win me a game, he ain't it. Is Mike Shanahan in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I surely do not believe he's a Hall of Fame coach. I think Mike Holmgren's more of a Hall of Fame coach. Holmgren's a Hall of Fame coach. Mike Shanahan is not, but he'll get in because whatever. 2 Super Bowls. Okay. You'd be hard-pressed to tell me that you think Mike Shanahan's a better coach than some of the guys that have come like Brian Billick's a better coach than him. Okay? Tom Coughlin's a better coach. Tom Coughlin's a better coach than Mike. Okay, so anyway, they part of the Bill Walsh tree, right? Correct. That's absolutely correct. Plus, the greatness of the offensive coordinator's job that he did against Brady in that Atlanta Super Bowl will always go down as one of the colossal F-ups. All right, so hey, the 3 burning questions that I think going into training camp: protecting your quarterback, win a big game this year, and have a good and consistent game plan. Put a game plan together for big games, dude. Just answer me those questions and we'll see what the Niners do this year. Look, you can't answer those questions and you don't have a quarterback. Man, and the NFC is there for the taking. Those are the 3 questions why the Eagles reign supreme in the NFC. Right there. They can answer all those. They protect the quarterback. They win big games. And the play caller is the quarterback because he's the decision maker on the field. Jalen Hurts is the linchpin in that whole thing in Philadelphia. He totally is. There's no getting around it. Do not be surprised if Seattle jumps up on San Francisco this year and makes that a little bit more interesting, the NFC West. They've tooled up pretty well. I think they got a better roster this year than they did last year, which was a playoff roster. I think Seattle's done a lot this offseason. And, hey, you put DeAndre Hopkins on that team, too. He lands up there. Look, I know everyone's saying that D-Hop's probably going to go to New England or probably go to the Bills or the Chiefs. Those are the 3 teams. One of those, Titans, probably in that conversation as well. You put D-Hop on that Seattle team, they could beat San Francisco. Their problem a year ago was they weren't very good on defense. And they kind of came in the offseason and fixed a lot of that. So, my opinion, Seattle's going to give them a run for their money for the NFC West title. That's going to be interesting to watch there next year. Or, this coming season. Is to see how they can handle the Seahawks twice. You watch. All right. So, on Dallas radio, I was notified of this. DeMarcus Lawrence, their defensive end, has come out and said this about the Philadelphia Eagles. It's not a big gap between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Okay. So this is what I did. This is what I did. I put a checklist together on the 2 teams, Cowboys and Eagles. Okay? I put a checklist together. And I think some of you may disagree with me. But remember something here. This is head-to-head. This is head-to-head. Let's start it out. Oh, by the way, let me put this. Okay, I'll put that down there. DeMarcus Lawrence once again said today that the gap between the Eagles and the Cowboys is not a big gap. Do you buy that first before we go into this? Do you buy that? Do you buy that the Cowboys are close to the Eagles? They have special teams, linebacker, safeties over us. That's it, says Twiz. He's right, absolutely. It's his relative. No, I don't think we're way better. No. Quan, wow. Who kind of like is all Eagles. Wow. Okay, I'm pretty shocked with that one. Haven't paid close attention to their offs. Yeah, I think they've done a nice job, the Cowboys, this offseason. Huge no, but big enough. Okay, that's fair enough. Let's look at that now. Here, I put a checklist together. Yeah, Tone, I'm interested what you think. They aren't far behind. Fans better keep their eye on them. I'm going to make a comment before I go deep. I love this. Okay? I love this topic because head-to-head versus the totality of the season, I think are two different things. Are the Cowboys built to beat the Eagles? Yes. Are the Cowboys built to win the war? I don't know that. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? The Cowboys, it seems, are built to beat you. But are they built for the big picture? Does that make sense to some of you? Because I've said this in the past to you guys before. Okay? The Cowboys will beat you guys 37-14. And then turn around and lose to the Saints 14-7. And you're like, what is that? Whereas the Eagles may lose to the Cowboys, but go on a 6-game run. And you know what the most important thing that the Philadelphia Eagles do? They beat the shit teams they're supposed to. Dude, I think the last couple of years, the difference between the Cowboys and the Eagles, this is my observation now, is that you guys beat all the shitty teams that you're supposed to, and you win the majority of the big games. Cowboys, they kind of go up and down against the shit teams. And that's why they're kind of always wobbling. Now, I'll say this to you. They've put pretty good seasons back to back here, and they survived last year, and I think they're going to take a lot out of surviving last year. Philosophically, we can't get past them. Steve-O, that's kind of where I'm at here. Where I'm at. So DeMarcus Lawrence, if he's just looking at the Eagles, I don't think he's wrong. But the Eagles have a different perspective on it. Look, the Cowboys are their big rivalry. But they're beyond that. They're looking at the big picture. They look at the NFC East. And that's why the Cowboys fold against the Washington Commanders at the end of the year at the last game that they needed to win. If they had any hope, remember if the Cowboys won the final game of the year and the Eagles tripped up because Hurts was still hurt, there was still something in question that they could have had an opportunity to win the East. Right? There was still they lost to the Redskins. Okay, well, shit, man. You can't lose that game at the final game of the year. You call yourself a true contender when that game could have, and I think they were the earlier game. So I think I think they're just a different way of looking at this. And I'll explain to you where I'm going here with this. Cowboys versus the Eagles. And that was a must-win for Dallas. And they laid an egg against Sam Howell. Dude, shit. Even if the game at the end of the day didn't matter for the East, you should still want to win that game going into the postseason because guess why? You got to turn around and you got to play in a wild card game the following week. I don't know, man. I see them play Philly. And so I'm going to go with what DeMarcus Lawrence said here, that he thinks the gap is not that wide. Okay. Quarterback. It favors the Cowboys. You don't have a quarterback that beats Dak Prescott yet. You think you do. You don't. And you know this. Now, watch this. This is going to sound like such a waffle. But Yale, tell me if I'm wrong here with this. Would you take Jalen Hurts for the totality of the season over Dak Prescott? Yes. Would you take Dak Prescott against the Eagles in both games? Yes, I would. He's 8-3. He wins both these games this year. He's 10-3 versus the Eagles. I don't know about you. Even if they split, he's 9-4. Okay? So at the end of the day, head-to-head on what DeMarcus Lawrence is saying, Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts because his record speaks to it. Don't go by wishful thinking. Go by what they've done. Stanley, you have nothing to stand on when it comes to the Eagles playing against Dak. Nothing. Nothing. Everything that you'll say is absolutely not true. Jalen's a better quarterback. That's not what we're saying here. Head-to-head. This is head-to-head. Not the totality of the season. This is something you don't want to face. Dak Prescott does a better job against the Eagles so far. And I will say this. He's had more games, and there's more of a sample size. But Dak has succeeded with that sample size. The Eagles would have to sweep the Cowboys 3 seasons in a row to make Dak a 500 quarterback versus Philly. That's the truth. Again, the one thing that you guys don't like to hear is the truth. Mike McCarthy, Dallas teams look like those Green Bay teams. McCarthy's teams always look good during the regular season, but never good. This is not about that, weapon. This is head-to-head. This is head-to-head. Dak owns our backup, Sills. No. That's not true. Owns your backup? So does Jalen then. Dude, he hasn't lost a game to the Eagles since 17. Okay? Dak owns the East. That's a correct statement. Is this going to be another year Jalen Hurts will break all kind of records again? What records did he break? I must have missed that one. What records did he break? What records did he break? I must have missed it. This is an interesting topic because you really notice how emotional impact folks on the topic at hand. Yeah, because you know why? They're not wrong. There's actually 2 answers to it. There's 2 answers to it, Tone. Okay? I believe there's 2 answers. Because for the totality of the season, there is no question. You take Jalen Hurts. Okay? You take Jalen. But head-to-head, like DeMarcus Lawrence said, the gap's not wide. The gap is not wide. So, again, I'd rather have Hurts in the Cowboy game. That's not true. In the Cowboy game, that's not true. Yale, you're mate. I'd rather have Jalen. Okay. Well, don't let the Cowboys get into the NFC title game because they'll beat you, no matter if it's at your place or their place, because he does beat you. I think that's where DeMarcus Lawrence is going. Overall, yes. And I made that very clear. That's what my premise was here. You see, Lawrence came up with, hey, by the way, do I think Jalen Hurts is an overall better quarterback than Dak Prescott? Slightly, yes. Dak's not bad. He just needs to do something in the postseason here. Sills, why do you think the Cowboys always fall in the playoffs? Because, quite frankly, I think the Cowboys are a regular season wonder. They get into the postseason, and they just get in their own way. I think too many mouths are in the locker room, and too many mouths are in the game plan instead of having conviction by one guy. And I think you have too many voices. Okay? He's younger and has a higher ceiling. Again, I don't know what that higher ceiling is. I just think he has to get better at what he's consistently doing now. I don't believe he's going to be a guy, if you're thinking he's throwing for 4,500 yards, that's not going to be who he is. He's going to get better at doing what he does best. the same way that Mahomes is going to get better at doing what he does best. Okay? Jalen doesn't know. That guy said backup quarterbacks. If that's the case, it's not Dak's fault the other team's playing with backups. Not sure what the hell you're talking about, Texas guy. Okay? This new defense will beat him. Absolutely no way. If you think your linebackers and your safeties are going to beat Dak Prescott, he's going to rip your ass a new one. Jalen's going to have to go on 14-play drives again to keep that offense off the field. That's going to be the mantra early, especially in the season this year. Until that defense comes around, I think Tone said it, around potentially week 8, something like that, you're going to have to give that defense a chance to mature. You got too many new faces in that thing. The entire heart of your defense is brand new. I promise if we would had to play Dallas in the NFC Championship game, we lose, Sebo says. Dallas is in our heads until we beat that demon. It'll be the same scenario. Dak Prescott last year destroyed the number 2 defense in the entire National Football League. You don't have the same talent on the team this year. Or here, I'll take that back. You don't have the same experience that you have on that team a year ago. Okay? Hey, would we not agree, and maybe, Tone, you agree as well, that there's still one more hurdle for Jalen Hurts to overcome? You know what that is? He's got to get the upper hand on Dak. The Eagles have to get the upper hand on Dak Prescott. The Eagles offense will have to carry the team at least until week 7 or 8 for sure. They will make mistakes, and we just have to be patient. Absolutely. That's why you may get a shitty loss somewhere in there where they don't get the ball back. Like watch this. They do such a great job, 3 or 4 14-play drives, and then in the last quarter, they have a 3 and out. The other team gets it, kicks a field goal, and beats you, and you lose to a shitty team. That could happen because of your defense. Until that defense comes around. And the difference between this year and last year is completely experience. I think you actually have a chance to be more talented with this group of guys. I think you have a chance to be more athletic with this group of guys. But you're far less experienced. I heard somebody say something too. I actually heard people giving that kid Morrow some kudos and saying that guy is going to replace Kaiser White. Kaiser White had 106 tackles last year on the number 2 ranked defense in the National Football League. That guy Morrow had 100 tackles on the 32nd worst defense in the NFL. There's no comparison. There is zero comparison. You know why? He was on the field probably 68% of the time, chasing down guys running downfield. That's not impact tackles. And that's why the Eagles didn't give him 1 cent in a signing bonus. Don't be stupid. Morrow's not an upgrade to Kaiser White. That's completely made up. Completely made up. Okay? That got us. You're the one. What making what compare? No. I'm not. Made up, Quan. Fake news. San Francisco shut Dak down last year. Yeah. Again, I'll go back to what my statement was. I'm not saying that Dak is the better quarterback for the full season. I'm saying Dak's the quarterback to beat the Philadelphia Eagles because he does. Okay? You're right. You're going to go further with Jalen. Tone, it's an interesting conversation here on who has the upper hand in this and what DeMarcus Lawrence said today, that the gap's not that far. He's right. Now, if you're talking about winning the entire season, Jalen's your guy. He's going to be more consistent than Dak because why? He don't turn the ball over, and he doesn't have high turnover percentage type throws or plays that he has in his arsenal. But at the end of the day, Prescott beats you. Head-to-head matchups, dude, last year he was 78% in that game, and he made the Philadelphia Eagles secondary look like a joke. And there were far better and more experienced guys in that secondary and in your linebacking core and in your front seven that had 70 sacks. He ate you up. He ate you up. He crushed you. It wasn't close, really. It was kind of, once again, Dak being Dak against the Eagles. So in a head-to-head competition, Dak Prescott has the advantage over Jalen Hurts until Jalen shows us he can have the upper hand against him. He's never had the upper hand. Now, it's a smaller sample size. That's to be fair to this. Okay? That, again, that's the conversation that DeMarcus Lawrence had today. That he thought the gap was not as big. We got something for Dak. What's that? What have you done to beat him this offseason? What is that? What exactly was that you have that last year you couldn't do it that you have this year? What is that? What exactly? Okay? What exactly is that? What exactly is that? Yeah, okay, Jam, whatever, dog. 8-3 in his career versus the Philadelphia Eagles, no matter what guy you have throwing the ball or whomever Hall of Fame type coach and Doug Peters. So against your boy Siriani and Doug Peterson, he's 8-3. Great. Remember something. That quarterback doesn't play against Jalen Hurts. That quarterback plays against your defense, and he owns you. Jalen ain't playing corner. Slay. Bradbury. All them dudes. So, the advantage in head-to-head matchup for quarterback goes to the Cowboys. Why? Because it's fact. It's not an opinion. You can't come off of 1 year where the Cowboys and Eagles still split. Both quarterbacks took on backup guys, okay? So where did you get the advantage then? And by the way, that game against Cooper Rush brought that game into the fourth quarter at least. That game that the Cowboys had with that quarterback and against your backup, it was never close. It was never close. He was 78% completion. That guy was throwing passes against that so-called all-pro secondary like they weren't even there. We have nothing for Dak until we beat Dak convincingly. Yeah, again, no. Dak Prescott, once again, is not on Jalen Hurts' level. That is such a fallacy. That is such a fallacy. Complete fallacy. That's a passion that you're talking about, Anthony. So what? Tyler Heineke's beating him. And so has Tyler Heineke's beating him. And so is Dimes Jones beating him. What are you talking about? Okay, anyway. Let's go to running back. Again, this is taken from the comments that DeMarcus Lawrence made today. Running back. Who has the advantage here? Tony Pollard is better than anything Dallas has in their backfield. currently. You have spare parts. However, I will say, I think it's deeper and watch this, has more potential. But you don't have anybody that could catch. How many catches last year? Hey, Tone, do me a favor, can you? How many catches did Tony Pollard have last year? Okay. I'd like to know that because I know he had 1,000 yards rushing. He had 1,000 yards rushing. He's a better player than anything you have in the backfield. He's not coming off a knee injury. He's coming off of an ankle injury. Pollard ain't a third down back. He had 40 catches, 39 catches, missed some games. 39 catches for 371 yards. That's it. Played 16 regular season games. Okay. And did he had like 1,100 yards, or did he just get a tick over 1,000 yards rushing? So he attributed for basically 1,300 yards, something like that, in total 1,007. So he was probably around almost 1,400 yards in total offense last year. 193 attempts. It's pretty good. It's not a lot. Then again, he missed a game. It would have been around 208, something like that probably, right? And carries if he had played the last game. 1,000-yard rusher. Hey, Tone, what was his yards per carry, if you don't mind me asking what his yards per carry were? Because 371 is a lot when it comes 5.2. Okay, so he was 5 yards a carry. You have nothing in your backfield remotely close to that. Nothing. Got to say, last year's Eagles' defensive stats were very misleading. Rarely did they leave me confident that they could close out a game despite stats. It's because a little bit that the big-time quarterbacks, you're always worried about them. So let me get this right. Tony Pollard averaged 5.2 yards per carry and 9.5 yards per reception. You have nothing in your backfield remotely close to that. That's exceptional. 9 rushing TDs, 3 receiving, 12 for the year. You have nothing remotely. That's almost Brian Westbrook stuff. Almost 10 yards per pass reception and 5 yards a carry. Where do you really think the rushing and the running back, what is that side on? You want me to give you the kudos because you have a Rashad Penny and a DeAndre Swift guy who can't play regular seasons healthy, and you want me to give you a Kenneth Gainwell because you have guys who can't play and you're not sure what the other guy's going to do. Are you crazy? Tony Pollard gets the advantage and the Cowboys have the advantage. So far, the Cowboys have the advantage in head-to-head matchup versus the Eagles at quarterback and running back. You're going to give me wishful thinking on Rashad Penny and Swift, and I like Swift. Past 2 seasons, Pollard has gone over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. You have nothing in the conversation with that. Nothing. Running back goes to the Cowboys. To be determined? No. We're going by who you are and what you are. Yale's giving the benefit of the doubt. Why would you give somebody the benefit of the doubt when they haven't showed you that they could come through? They've never come through. You're going to give people who've been in the NFL 5 years the benefit of the doubt where you have a guy who's been over 1,000 yards rushing the last 2 years? Give me a break. What are you, crazy? I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt. Swift has shown that he can play. Yeah, but not better than Pollard. But not better than Pollard's not an unknown. Pollard is not an unknown. Okay? Seals, who would you rather have as a quarterback, Dak or Jalen? I told you it's a different conversation, Speed. For the totality of the season, Jalen. Head-to-head matchup, Dak. Because Dak has done it. That's what DeMarcus Lawrence was. I mean, why am I repeating this to you guys? Are you not hearing it? Here's Tone. 2022 season for Swift. 542 yards rushing, 5 TDs, 389 receiving, 931 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Those are not bad, but those aren't Tony Pollard numbers. Okay. Hey, Tone. He's on the Eagles because he's good, but he's not Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's a better player than anything you have in Philadelphia. And you want me to give you the advantage because why? Potential, which means you haven't done it. Okay? Dude, you can't give people advantages when you have documented proof that a guy and who he is and what he does. And just sit there and not give that guy his kudos. No, I get it. Swift's a good player. He's not Tony Pollard. Pollard's a better player. Again, head-to-head. Head-to-head. Okay? So quarterback, wide receiver go to the Cowboys. Wide receiver. I don't really think this is close. The Cowboys would have you believe it's close. I don't believe it is. Look, I think Brandon Cooks and Galladay are decent guys. I think they're good. And CD, I think, look, he had 1,300 yards a year ago. I think he's good. But you give me A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith any day. And by the way, I think the gap there is exceptionally wide. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have that advantage big time. Okay? As much as the Cowboys in the media likes to tell you that CeeDee Lamb's a better wideout than A.J. Brown, that's not true. And dude, Devontae Smith is banging on the top 10 door too. He has another year like he did the last year, and he goes over 100 catches. He's going to be a top 10 guy this year, and he's trending that way. The Eagles completely dominate the Dallas Cowboys. Okay? It's coming off an ankle injury. Your two guys are coming off of what? And he did play 16 games. More games than any of those guys you have in the backfield ever played in one season. Dude, don't make shit up. Wide receiving completely goes to the Eagles. Look, I think the Cowboys' O-line is good. Martin's great. He is. The left tackle, Smith. The other guy on the other side can be good, but to try to sit here and try to tell me the Dallas Cowboys have a better line than the Eagles. Okay? Hey, Tone, do you want me to finish this? Do you want me to finish this list here, or do you want me to continue this? Yeah, let's finish this, okay? The Eagles have the better O-line. Okay? Tight end, not close. Okay? The Eagles own the tight end. Dallas Goedert, spectacular. OC. So you think Brian Johnson's a better OC than Mike McCarthy, who has a Super Bowl ring? I don't. Brian Johnson's never called a game in his life. Why would you give him the advantage? Why would you give Brian Johnson the advantage at OC? You can't give him the advantage over a Super Bowl coach who was the play caller when they won the Super Bowl. So the Cowboys have the advantage on offensive coordinator. No matter what you think of Mike McCarthy, he's got the same playoff record that Sean Payton does. Okay? Defense. D-line. I think the Cowboys have a better D-line because I think the heart of your defense in the middle is questionable. I think the Cowboys have an overall better D-line with Lawrence and with Michael Parsons as their two ends. And now with this Mozzie Smith, who I'm not saying he's going to be something special. People think this guy's great. I think they're a little better in the front four than what Dallas is. I think Dallas has a little better front four than you because you got players that, once again, have to be proven here. You like Philly's line? How can you? You got two guys on it that have the biggest question marks. Jordan Davis and the other guy, Jalen Carter, hasn't played yet. Again, to be determined. Then that goes on the side of the Cowboys. Linebackers. Cowboys have better linebackers. You don't have any linebackers. Well, no. To be determined, Cowboys. Corners. I think the Eagles have better corners. I do. I think the Eagles have better corners. And they upgraded. Safety position. I actually think this is a push. Okay? Defensive coordinator. Not close. Dan Quinn. Favors the Cowboys. Head coach. McCarthy or Siriani? I'm going to recap, and I'm going to finish it up with that. Mike McCarthy or Siriani? Let's see what that would do. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll recap all of this. And was DeMarcus Lawrence right? The gap is not as wide. Okay? Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
How many people that are Eagle fans bet on the Super Bowl for the Eagles to win? How many people bet? Bet them to win. How many of you guys bet the Eagles to win the Super Bowl 58? I did, Will Fit. I'm going to get to this in a minute here. Okay? Hang in there. Hang in there. We're going to get to this because I brought this up last night. That's why Pro Football Talk hit on it. I'm going to bring it up here in a second, but I want to close up this whole conversation here with what DeMarcus Lawrence. Hey, Escobar, I might help you get your money back. Twiz, okay? You guys, hang in there. Tease, 7-7, I may help you get your money back. So what we did was we took a little comparison on what DeMarcus Lawrence said today when he said he thought that the gap wasn't as wide between the Cowboys and Eagles. And again, I want you guys to understand one thing. When I say head-to-head matchup, I think it's a completely different conversation. I think the Eagles are built to win the Super Bowl. I don't think the Cowboys are. I think the Cowboys are built to beat you. But now, think of that. The Eagles, it's why you guys have dominated the NFC East since 2000. The Cowboys, they think their job's done when they beat you or split with you. You guys look at that as a split, as a nothing burger. The Cowboys, again, I think it's more important for the Cowboys to say that they have a winning record with Dak against you than when you guys go like, hey, so what, you're 3-8 against Dak at the end of the day. How many Super Bowls you been to since 2000? How many NFC title games? How many playoff games have you won? Does that, I get it, it's your rival. You want to, hey, everyone wants to beat their rival. But dude, the Cowboys are built just to beat you, and they do it. And their quarterback does it. So it's kind of a complex conversation here today. All right? Cowboys have the advantage at quarterback because Dak is 8-3 versus you. I don't know how you look at it. No matter who the coordinator is, Jonathan Gannon, Jim Schwartz, he wins. What's by the way, what's Jalen's record versus the Cowboys? Does somebody know? And again, I don't know what his record is against the Cowboys. The first year he started, those games weren't competitive. So he was probably 0-2 versus him in those games last year, or in the first year that he started. So I'm assuming he's 1-3. Well, he didn't play in the second game because he was injured. So he's probably 1-2, if I'm right. He may have played in that first year too. I don't remember if he played in that first year. So a maniac, he's 2-2. Okay. Dak's 8-3. Okay. He's 2-2. Okay. 2-2. All right. All right. He's 2-2 versus Dallas. And again, remember something. You know, he doesn't throw the ball against Dak. Dak goes against defensive coordinators, not against Jalen Hurts. No, I think Arthur and Maniac are right. I think he's 2-2. Okay, and the smaller sample size. Hey, dude, the Eagles may sweep him, and he's 4-2, and he's on his way. Then it's a completely different conversation. He's not 2-1. Okay? Jesus criminy. Thank God you guys don't run my checkbook. Okay? Wide receiver, you dominate. O-line, I believe you dominate. Tight end, I believe you dominate. OC, it's Mike McCarthy. Guy's got a Super Bowl. Now, some could go like this. Well, he had Aaron Rodgers. Correct. We're going to find out who Mike McCarthy is this year with Dak. You know, I didn't have a problem with Kellen Moore calling plays in Dallas. I didn't know that was an issue. The Cowboys put up a lot of points with Kellen Moore as their OC. I never heard anybody bitching about him. He's now the OC in Los Angeles with the Chargers. We're going to find out a lot more about Mike McCarthy this year. Jeremiah, you don't have a better D-line than Dallas. How do you know that? You got one guy you're not sure can play in Jordan Davis yet, and the other guy hasn't. And you got Fletcher. That's not true. You're going to give people credit. And by the way, do I think Jalen Carter is going to be I do. Let him play it down. And when someone goes to be determined, that goes on the side of experience in the NFL, which is Dallas. Anytime you see TBD, it goes to the experienced NFL team. D-line, again, I gave it to the Cowboys slightly. Linebackers are Cowboys. You don't have. I don't even know if you have enough linebackers to go to camp. Corners, even with the addition of Stephon Gilmore, I still believe the Eagles have the better corners. Safeties, believe it or not, even though I think the safeties in Philadelphia aren't great, I don't think they're great in Dallas either. So I think that's a push. The defensive coordinator's not close. It's Dan Quinn. The head coach now. Who has the advantage here? I think Mike McCarthy's probably a better play caller than head coach. Believe that. I think he's probably a better play caller. Hey, dude, being a play calling OC for Aaron Rodgers can't be that easy, or Brett Favre. You guys just go, well, he had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Well, you know what? Those are high personality guys. How many times do you think those guys have come over to the sidelines and said no to him? A ton. That's not that easy. Jalen works with people. He's easier coached. I think he's easier to coach. You take Hardgrave, the only guy we lost on D-line, and we still lead the league, but Dallas has a better – make me understand that? Yeah, you got two guys you don't – Jordan Davis has not proven shit. Jalen Carter hasn't done shit. You have no linebackers in the middle of your field. Your safeties are not that hot. The entire heart of your defense is new. There. I hope you understand that, Jeremiah. You have one experienced D tackle. And Milton Williams is a fine player. There. Last year, you had Sue, Joseph, Fletcher Cox, and Hardgrave. You have none of those guys but one. There. Okay? JM said you said Carter would be the next. I did, and I do. He hasn't played a down. He hasn't played a down. The point that DeMarcus Lawrence was making, that the gap is not that wide today. Wow. No wonder Angelo kicked the shit out of people in that market, because there are buffoons that don't understand what I'm saying here. Dallas took those green. We're not talking about Dallas versus Green Bay. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cowboys. That's not what we're talking about here. You're moving the goalpost. McCarthy has much more experience than Siriani, plus a Super Bowl. But that begs the question, how much latitude does a Super Bowl give a head coach, especially when hasn't won one in over 10 years? Well, how much credit does Sean Payton get for having the same record that Mike McCarthy has in the postseason? Ask yourself that. How much latitude does Sean Payton get? You know how much? $20 million worth a year. $20 million a year. That's what the Broncos signed him for and had to give up a first rounder for him. Oh, no. I'm not killing you because I don't think you're wrong, Tone. Hey, Tone, I'm not killing you, dude. I don't think you're wrong. That's why I said, Tone, I think we're going to find out more about Mike McCarthy this year than we have ever known about Mike McCarthy. I absolutely, I'm not killing. Here's something I would say this to you. Who would you rather be coached by? Listen to Jason Kelsey today. I'd rather be coached by Nick Siriani. Hey, you're not going to believe this, but I'm going to give you the advantage at head coach. You know why? I think Nick is the glue that keeps the team together. Would anybody ever say Mike McCarthy's the glue that keeps the Cowboys together? Would you ever say that? Mike McCarthy keeps the team together. That is not something that I would do. So wait a minute. Check this out. Look at Cali. Hey, do me a favor, Tone. Put that Cali green up, and I'll show you the difference. Nobody said Mozzie starting. Okay? Lawrence, Mozzie Smith, the other kid is good, and Parsons over BG, Cox, Carter, and Reddick. Carter hasn't played it down. Mozzie Smith's not the starter yet. Okay? Parsons finished second in the Defensive Player of the Year award. Lawrence is better than Brandon Graham. DeMarcus Lawrence is better than Brandon Graham. I know you don't want to hear that, but he is. Brandon Graham's not better than DeMarcus Lawrence. He's not. Who told you that? Oh, he had more sacks. He's not a better player. Okay? Even though the check marks fall on the side of the Cowboys, okay, I still think that Jalen Hurts. Hey, look, here's when we go back to the conversation of the quarterback. Dak Prescott's who he is. Dak's not going to get any better. He may not have as many turnovers, but he's not going to get any better. And he is who he is. He could have a better season than he did a year ago, and I believe he's going to. But Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, is also going to continue to improve. And do you know where I think Jalen Hurts continues to improve at? It would not shock me if Jalen Hurts had 3 turnovers this year versus 6. If Jalen Hurts throws for 25 touchdowns this year and has 3 picks, that's a massive improvement. And puts up 3,800 yards passing. With no turnovers, the NFC being the way it is, Dallas is going to have their hands full. Okay? But I agree. Hey, you can, Tone, here it is. I agree with Dexter Lawrence. I think Dallas has closed the gap. But I still think that the Philadelphia Eagles still reign supreme in the NFC East and in the NFC. Okay? They have closed the gap. They got better players head to head. But once again, for a 17-game season, Dallas doesn't look to me like they're in it for the long game. Okay? They just don't look like, to me, like they're in the long game. You know what I mean? Fly goes, we handle. Dexter Lawrence is better than Brandon Graham. End of story. Okay? He's better. No disrespect. He's 36. He's better. No, he isn't. Okay. Spoken like a true Eagle fan, and I wouldn't hey, guess what? I wouldn't expect you not to think that. Okay? I wouldn't expect you not to think that. Okay? So it's all good. So to me, again, I think Lawrence is right. The gap has been closed, but not significant enough where the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to. Hey, the Cowboys, could they win 12 games this year? Yes. But the Cowboys are going to lose more shittier games than what the Eagles will. Hey, if somebody came to me and said, Sills, this team that's being assembled right now that the Eagles have versus what the Cowboys have, what do you think the chances of more slip-ups this year against the shittier teams? Oh, I'd go Dallas every day because there's too many voices in the room and there's not a lot of conviction. The front office and all the mingling that goes on and the speed bumps that are in the way, there's nothing like that in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has more of they have more clean air in their sailing when it comes to putting through and setting out to sea when it comes to a regular season than what the Cowboys have. The Cowboys are always in rough seas. They're always in rough seas. No matter what it is, they're always going through rough seas. The Eagles try to make it as easy as they possibly can. Okay? They do. Twiz, Dak Prescott owns you. Owns you. Look at his numbers. In his entire career versus Dallas, he owns you. Last year, he threw for 5 touchdowns. He had 5 TDs last year versus the number 2 defense in the NFL. What Jalen did, you still had the second-ranked defense out there, did you not? 5 TDs he threw for. Dak is 8-3, had a career game last year versus you. Get this, what makes it more obnoxious is that Dak had a career game almost against the Eagles in the worst season of his career. Again, when Yale says mystery man, experience goes to the other side. I'm not going to sit here and wishful think something. I'm going to tell you what it is. All right. Interesting conversation. And do me a favor. Don't. Let's see how this plays out. If Dexter Lawrence is right, because he statistically is right. All right. So let me ask you something here. Now I have figured this out. Last night, I went on a show in San Francisco. And I've got to tell you, I hit on this and then Pro Football Focus. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Florio's people picked up on this or somebody picked up on it. Because you know, Big Sills, I am a gigantic conspiracy theorist. Now I understand why the Eagles and the Cardinals have swept the Jonathan Gannon tampering story under the rug. Tone, everyone, follow me. The Arizona Cardinals have admitted that there was tampering. The Eagles admitted through the communications that there was tampering that went on in the hiring process of Jonathan Gannon, correct? They've admitted it. Well, if you were a guy that went to FanDuel or casino and you made a $1,000 bet that the Eagles would cover defensively, would you have still went with that point spread, knowing full well that the defensive coordinator of the NFC champions was not fully engaged? And the league has admitted in the tampering that he was 2 days before talking to Michael Bidwell, and he was hired the very next day after the Super Bowl as the brand new head coach. How don't you have a lawsuit there against the National Football League for fraud? How don't you have fraud in this? And you sue the league civilly for your money and what it might brought you back in return. That's fraud. The NFL has admitted to fraud in their own bylaws. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Well, then let me ask you this. Yell goes, it's debatable whether he was fully engaged. Okay, well, as the guy making the bet, if you had known that the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles was having powwows and conversations with the Arizona Cardinals, would you have put $1,000 down for 3-point spread in that Super Bowl? Absolutely not. You misled me, is what I'm saying. You misled me. You misled me. You misled me in information. Dude, you're so concerned about the injury report on Thursdays. You're so cognizant of this gambling and players gambling. You don't think that what about the league? Think about this. You cannot prove that it affected the outcome. I'm not saying it did. I'm saying it affected my ability to have all information on my bet. I'm saying if I had known that the defensive, and the league admitted it, that he was, they admitted to tampering. So I know now today that the defensive coordinator of the Eagles was not engaged. He can't. What do you mean you don't know he was engaged? Tampering was admitted. The league admitted it. They switched picks with Arizona. This is why there's a prepared statement. And Howie reads that prepared statement. Because they don't want it to go too far, because you know why? Dude, if I made a $100,000 bet and it's a 3-point spread in the game, I remember what it was. Say it's a 1 point. What was the spread in the Super Bowl? Does anybody remember? Okay, what does anybody remember what the spread was in that game? It was a tight 3. Are you making a $100,000 bet if you know that one of the coaches on the other side is not in the building preparing for the Super Bowl? It's not that whether or not it had an effect on the game. It was 1.5 points. You're trying to tell me that would not have made a decision on your bet and your investment in gambling. Okay? So what the league is doing here is sweeping this on. This is why both organizations don't want to go too deep into it. Because someone that made a $100,000 bet, what about that one guy, the mattress guy that made a $3 million bet? You think he's making a $3 million bet on something? If he knows that one of the coaches, he's kind of like, hey, how about this? Even if it had no outcome of the game, would that man have bet that? Would I have made that investment? on the Eagles, knowing that the coach was going to be hired the next day, and he was having conversations with the Cardinals in Arizona, by the way, where the Super Bowl was. I don't know about you, but to me, that's a little messy of a scenario there for the National Football League. I'd like the league to answer this. So if my buddy makes a parlay and it comes out that now I didn't have full information, why? You give me the injury report every Thursday. I never got that. You know why why do you think you give the injury report on Thursday? To set the line. There's no other reason to have an injury report on Thursday except for gambling. There's no reason except for gambling. The league has always had that line on Thursdays on who's active and who's not for gambling. So if you add it on Thursday, yeah, coach is talking during the week about getting hired. And the day after, on Monday, he's going to be the Arizona Cardinal coach because he was having conversations. I'm not betting money on the Eagles. I mean, the league is so concerned about gambling. And remember what, I was talking, hey, Tone, I think you were producing the other day. I said this, and I think it was D Gunn. He goes, yeah, what the players do. Think of this. This is, I'm paraphrasing D Gunn. He goes, don't players know that they have to stay away from the casinos and gambling? You could, just stay away from it. Okay. Well, you also know that there's rules that during the Super Bowl week, you're not supposed to be talking to other teams and preparing for other jobs while you're in season. They have windows set up for that. And when John McMullen comes out and goes, well, other teams do it. Well, yeah, $1 billion is not being bet every week like it is in the Super Bowl. This goes beyond just winning the Lombardi Trophy now. This goes into the practices of the NFL, and the NFL having a front office not knowing that one of their coaches was going behind the scenes and potentially affecting the sports line. Because if people would, what I would have said? Holy shit, if I would have known that Jonathan Gannon was not engaged and he was talking to the Cardinals, I would have put all my money on the Chiefs. You would have affected the point spread line. You would have affected the line because more money would have went on Kansas City. Okay? Think of that. So you're trying to tell the players that they can't bet on parlays, but you got a coach affecting the Super Bowl line. No wonder Howie Roseman and the Cardinals are mum, because they don't want anybody to come back and sue them for affecting a point spread line. NFL is so engaged in gambling now. They come out almost daily now. Daily. With all these parameters for the coaches. Remember what I said the other day too, Tone? I said a front office could also throw a game by sitting and activating players each and every single week. Well, when you got guys not in the building and they're talking to other people in a Super Bowl week, and you got a point spread line that affects billions of dollars, I don't know about you. That seems awful shady to me. Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals, I agree, Yale. You could put the National Football League in more of a peculiar position here if people wanted to bring press charges against the NFL for fraud. Again, I don't know either if it affected the Super Bowl, but it would have affected sports bets. It would have affected sports books. Money would have moved. It always does. And here's the most important critical part of this. The NFL admitted to it. They admitted to their own guilt. Yes, we're guilty of fraud, tampering. I can't believe nobody's not making a bigger deal of this. Okay? Yale goes, I think he was hired the next day. They may, I'll tell you what, Yale, they probably did throw that out there publicly because they probably found out that there was tampering going on. But wait a minute, Yale, they admitted to tampering, whether they threw that out or not. It was tampering. Hey, all I'm saying is, and look, you guys know me, man. I'm a big conspiracy guy. Hey, JM, right? And by the way, you know what makes it even more weird, JM? Is that when Howie was talking to Mike Florio, it was almost like he memorized a prepared statement because they didn't want to get in any kind of legal issue. I didn't realize it then. But then I was like, man, he almost like memorized like a statement from the league, not from the team. It was almost verbatim. Unlike lawyers for the NFL must have given both teams talking points because they're afraid of getting sued on this. Dude, you imagine the billions of dollars that people could go back and sue the league if they – because here's the issue. If the league hadn't admitted to fraud or to tampering, then I think it's a little iffy. But when the league says, yes, there was fraud here, tampering. You're right. Some of you said, how do you know it affects the game? I don't know. But I do know it would have affected sports bets. And it would have affected a sports line. So did Gannon tank the game? No, that's weapon. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that sports bettors, and if you've been around them, use every single bit of information they have. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Use every single bit of information to set a line for their sports books. MGM Grand, Oceans Casino, whomever. They set the line on their information. They got professionals that set their money. And so you're telling me if Ocean's sportsbook guy heard that the defensive coordinator was not in, was interviewing during Super Bowl week for a job, that's like a guy who gets caught out at night, the night before the Super Bowl. All the money moves. That's right. Tone goes like this. Sports bettors check to see if players ate their damn breakfast before placing a bet. That's my point. Dude, no wonder this stuff has been kind of quiet. No wonder nobody makes issues of it. Yeah, you know why? Because the NFL controls the media. This is a great example right here. You don't see big stories anywhere. It's not so much that Jonathan Gannon would have cost their team the game. It's nothing to do with that. It's placing the bets, moving the lines and the over-under. I was like, I thought about that. I go, well, you know, would I have made a bet knowing if Jonathan Gannon was going to get the job the next day? Hit the like button. Oh, in honor of the ESPYs, Big Sills has got Eagles and NFL awards. We're going to do our own awards. We'll do our awards. We're going to do that at the top of the hour here, but you keep it here at the National Football Show. Hit the like button. Keep it here.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I'll tell you what, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I better get that deal done with Justin Jefferson soon. You know, I wouldn't think that Minneapolis is a mecca for me wanting to stay in a place. I know sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side, but I might not want to play around with that one. You know, if you're Ziggy Wilf and you own that team, that might not be something I want to jack around with. Hey, you know, we'll just roll into the season here. Because if I'm Justin Jefferson, let me throw this out to you. What do you think Justin Jefferson would get in the open market if he decided to go to Minnesota and do this? Now, they could probably franchise tag him. Okay, but I'm not thinking that that would be something. You want to franchise, you got to sign your quarterback yet, too. So he's kind of got leverage here. Okay, are you going to sign Cousins or are you going to start over again? And are you going to start over again with a quarterback and a wide receiver that won't? I'll tell you what, if I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm not starting over with some rookie quarterback. $30 million? So wait a minute. If he goes out and has a 2,000-yard receiving year, that number might be north of $30 million. You might be looking at a $35 million contract. You really want that thing to go into the regular season? Holy cow. Dude, get this. $30 million over 4 years for a wideout. Hey, man. Dude, that's a lot of dough, man. That's a lot of dough for a guy catching footballs. And if you don't get that thing signed, dude, you might get a break at 28, 5, 30 million. But if you let that guy go, because he's improved every year, you let that dude go into the regular season. And you let that guy go in there, and you just go, we'll get it done. Price goes up every time he steps on a regular season field game. Price tag goes up. Dude, how about this? That's a guy Kansas City goes like this. Shit, I'll tell you what. I might go all in on that guy. Can you imagine putting him, Justin Jefferson, and Patrick Mahomes together in Kansas City? They'd run the NFL for the next 10 years. Shit, that guy, hey, that's a guy you do this. Man, my quarterback makes 50. Yeah, but I don't need anybody else but those two guys. Yeah. I'll tell you this. If you're the New York Giants, I'm paying Justin Jefferson $40 million before I'm paying that other guy $40 million. And for the record, I would never pay Saquon Barkley $14 million. Not a chance. I would never touch that. So here's what the Giants will do. The Giants are going to put a $14 million deal in front of him and a $46 million deal in front of the other guy. Do you know what the New York Giants have become? The Dallas Cowboys. A quarterback that's overpaid and a running back that's overpaid. Dalvin Cook is a better back than Barkley. And they're the same age almost. He's a better back. He's done more. He is a better football player. Dalvin Cook is better, and you can get him for $5 million. You could get Dalvin Cook right now probably for $5 million. Why in the world would I pay Saquon Barkley $14 million? Not a team in the NFL would pay $14 million for him except the Giants. This makes no sense. Ty Banks goes like this. Dalvin Cook is not a better back. Really? Look it up. He's healthier and he's more consistent. He's a better back. Are you crazy? He's a better back. Barkley's better. Well, you got to stay out of the tub too, son. And I'll tell you this. So Barkley, in your opinion, is $10 million better than Dalvin Cook. Really? $10 million better. You would pay $10 million more. Go ahead. I'll take Dalvin. I'll be good with that. I'll be good with $5 million on Dalvin Cook getting me 1,300 yards. And you go pay your $14 million for 1,300 yards. Who got the better deal? Me. Right there. That's the number one thing, right, Alexander? I don't give a shit how talented you think you are. You got to play. I'm not paying that guy $14 million. I would probably pay, because he's a homegrown guy, Barkley, most $8 million. I'll tell you something else. That deal that Miles Sanders got from the Carolina Panthers is looking awful good right now. The fly goes, Dalvin Cook hasn't been the healthiest back. I don't know, 4 years in a row, 1,000 yards? What's not healthy about that? I must have missed that. What's that? This guy's last four of the last 5 years has been 1,000-yard rusher. Actually, I think he led the NFL in rushing 3 years ago. He's 28. Barkley's 27. Barkley's not a $10 million better back than Dalvin Cook. I get value, and I get to balance my salary cap. Saquon Barkley, I mean, I'm sorry, he plays in New York. He plays in New York. That's the only, I mean, he would not, there is not a team in the NFL that would pay him more than $8 million if he got on the open market. No one would. Nobody. So look, wait a minute. So you think that guy should make more than Derrick Henry? Let me ask you this. You think Saquon Barkley should make more than Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry had 1,500 yards last year in the shittiest offensive line in the league. The shittiest O-line. Nobody else on that team but him had 1,500 yards, and he's 28. He's 28. He's a year older than Saquon Barkley. And you think Barkley's better than him? Dude, Derrick Henry's going to have another 1,600-yard year this year. He's cut out of the same piece of steak that Adrian Peterson was. He ain't making $14 million. Barkley's better? Yeah, who told you that? I can get Dalvin Cook to give me the same production that Saquon Barkley has for $10 million cheaper. And this one dude thinks Barkley's a better dude. Barkley's the better play. Really? Sound like the Cowboys. That's right, Yale. How about this? Derrick Henry, the year previous, had missed 8 games. Came back on a 1,500-yard year the year after a knee injury. That dude's Adrian Peterson-ish. Man, can you imagine Derrick Henry running behind the Philadelphia Eagle O-line? He'd get 2,500 yards. Okay? Hey, Speed, I like the kid Yannick, depending on what the money is. Okay? I like him. I liked him better when he was in Jacksonville. I think he got kind of put in a bad system up in Minnesota. He's not a bad player. Okay, he's not. But depending on what the price tag is, you know, he's like a getting bad advice from Saquon or from like Jadeveon Clowney kind of guys where he wants $18-19 million. He's not getting that. But for me, again, it would be one of those Howie Roseman prove-it deals. I'll tell you what, man, that'd be a good guy to bring into Philadelphia, that Yannick kid. That'd be a good guy to bring in. Probably the price is a little high, though, for the Eagles. He probably wants like $10 million, $15 million. And I just don't know. And the Eagles have $13 million right now in cap space. I don't know. I get it, Alexander. I like your thinking, but I think he's a little pricey right now. Okay. I think the NBA drafts tonight. Yeah, man, I got zero interest in that thing. Kind of maybe a little, but nothing really. We're going to honor the ESPYs and the Power Hour number 3 here. I can't wait. Well, you think Jalen Hurts? Now, we're going to save it. Hour number 3. Hey, my boy Jason Cole. I'm going to talk to him a little bit about that gambling and some NFL news. And again, remember, guys, why do we bring Jason Cole on? Guys, why do we bring Jason Cole on? Guys, why do we bring Jason Cole on? Why do we bring Jason Cole on? That's right, Tone. We need Eric Allen in the Hall of Fame. Remember what I told you. The reason we bring Hall of Fame writers on and voters on is for Eric Allen. That's right, Arthur. Remember that. It's important. We're in his ear. He's on a board of 54 guys who vote every year for guys into the Hall of Fame and puts guys' names up for debating. Okay? He and a couple of my other guys that we bring on here, Rick Gosselin, Okay. Howard Balzer. They help us in our agenda. Okay. Power Hour. Number 3. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Must-see television has to be Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers this year twice. Looking forward to that. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, AFC East. Hey, watch this. Let's take a look at that in divisions. Patrick Mahomes versus Russell Wilson twice. Justin Herbert twice. That's pretty good. In the NFC West, is there really a decent quarterback matchup? Matthew Stafford against 2. Kyler Murray's hurt. We don't know what's going on in San Francisco. Really not much to watch that thing. Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, absolutely. The other guys, I don't know. Washington, New York. Jalen, look, Giants and Eagles will always get me to watch. But sitting around going like this, hey, Dimes Jones versus Jalen Hurts, that's not must-see television unless you got something vested in it. But Jalen Hurts versus Dak, I'm interested in that. That's must-see television. AFC East, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. Maybe Aaron Rodgers and Tagovailoa. You know, okay. Maybe a little bit of that. Sure. Okay. Burrow versus Watson twice. Jackson versus Watson. Jackson versus Trevor Lawrence. How you doing? Yeah. Burrow versus Jackson. Yeah, that's right. No, wait, that's the South. That's right, not Lawrence. You're right, Tone. Burrow Jackson. Whew. Jackson Watson, Burrow Watson. That's pretty damn good, man. Hey, what's the best division in quarterback matchups? Look, man, Dak and Jalen Hurts is must-see television. I would make this point to you. What would be the highest rating? Because I think Aaron Rodgers plays Dak. Don't they? I think the Jets play the Cowboys. That's going to be a monster rating game. Aaron Rodgers versus the Cowboys. That'll be a huge game. New York Jets, New York media, Cowboy fans. That will be huge. Okay? That will. Pickett. Who? AFC North. Thank you. You're right, man. Okay? Aaron Rodgers does own Dallas. Jared Goff and Cousins. Oh my God. Oh, no. Here's a better one. Cousins versus Jordan Love. Oh, no, yeah. Oh my God. That's terrible. That's terrible, man. Oh. But that's going to be must-see television, man. Because you're not sure what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers this year. That's the first Monday night game of the year, too, Arthur. Holy shit, I can't wait to see that. I would love to see Burrow versus Hurts. Yeah, that'd be good. Hey, that's a great kind of fun topic, isn't it? What would be your fantasy matchup for Jalen? Lamar Jackson versus Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Two of the most prolific RPO quarterbacks in the game today. Hurts and Tua. We got that this year too. Hopefully with Tua's side of it. Okay? Call it the Saban Bowl. How about that? Hey, Tone, that's the Saban Bowl. Tua versus Jalen Hurts. Hurts versus Russell Wilson. Kind of like an art. Oh, man, that'd be good TV. Hurts versus Deshaun Watson. Oh, Deshaun Watson versus Rodgers. Like to see that. Yes, sir, man. Patrick Mahomes. Dude, that Patrick Mahomes Jalen Hurts game at Arrowhead's going to be good. That's going to be a highly rated game. Okay? I love that Hurts is becoming a draw. He is. His winning is at it. Get this. The reason that Jalen Hurts is becoming a draw, more so than, that's a really great topic. That's a great topic. Hey, we're going to have some fun here again here in a minute. Who's the number one draw quarterback in the NFL right now? It's Mahomes. He's not just the best, but he's the number one draw. Who's two? I'm talking, is it Dak? I think it's Dak. Now look, don't tie in being better. This has nothing to do with who's better. Okay? There's nothing to do with who's better. Aaron Rodgers is second. You're right, Fly. These are TV stars. Rodgers is second. He's second. Okay? Rodgers. Now he has the New York market too. Dak, I think, is 4 because it's the Cowboys. Burrow's a draw. Burrow. I'm with you. Burrow, 4. 5. I think it's Allen. This is not better. 6. Is it Jalen at 6? Would you put Jalen at 6? Russell Wilson's a draw. Russell Wilson. Wilson 6. Jalen's got to be in the top 10. Got to be in the top 10. Is he 7? Do I want to see a game with Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts? Dude, the guy in New York, I don't give a shit about him. I could care less about the guy in New York. Absolutely. Jalen Hurts is 7. This is not the best. This is must-see television. Then I would probably put Herbert. Then I'd put Lawrence. And believe it or not, I'd probably put that kid Kyler Murray in there once he gets healthy. Or maybe Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is a draw. I actually like watching Justin Fields play out because I don't know what to expect. Dude, that's a great one there, Tone. Has Justin Fields even established any kind of back and forth with anybody? Like, do you think the Chiefs, do they like fear Justin Herbert when they see? I think they probably do a little. Jones versus Allen. Interesting matchup. I don't think people are shutting off that Russell Wilson games. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong on that. I do. Lamar Jackson. We didn't even put him in there. Lamar Jackson's got to be over Trevor Lawrence. Because I love watching him play. He's just a special guy. All right. Before we get to the Big Sills Awards here, in honor of the ESPYs, they came out with their list. I guess only 2 Philadelphia guys are up for any kind of awards. Jalen Hurts, best NFL player. He'll never get that. NBA player, Embiid, he'll never get that either. And their nominations here. So we thought we'd have a little fun with that as well here in a second. I got my Big Sills Awards, and I think an NFL award that we would throw out. But I see that before we get into that, I see that the police are still investigating Tyreek Kill. And now the guy wants to press charges and have charges pressed against Tyreek Kill. We said this yesterday. Hey, kid, you got to grow up eventually, man. You got to be a man about yourself. You got to conduct yourself different, or at least try to. I mean, you're a cheap man's version right now of watching Antonio Brown and the rest of those wide receivers as jackasses. You're a jackass right now. Or how about this? Like Tone says, I don't know if he's a jackass. He surely does jackass things. Is that fair? He surely does a ton of jackass stuff. Yeah, but it's not just that, Yale, that he got into a fight down with a Marina guy who now wants to press charges against him, and the NFL's investigating, and so are the police. It's the fact that this guy's been accused of beating up kids, and now he's beating up employees that are just everyday workers. Huss. I mean, act like a human being. You got to live in this world with people. Dude, listening to Jason Kelsey today, I see, then once again, I think you guys have to go back and watch that interview. It was really great. He's a fun listen, Jason Kelsey. And I see, get this, you would never know that beer drinking dude is a first ballot Hall of Famer. The way he talks to people and the way he interacts with people. He is an everyday kind of guy. You would never know it. And you know what? He carries himself like that. That's confidence. That's somebody who knows who he is and comfortable in his own skin. You know how many people in life are not comfortable in their own skin? Shit, man. It took me years to be comfortable with doing this. I don't really personally give a shit what other people think of me anymore. Because the only people that I have to have that like me are my wife, my kid, my aunt, my family, and the ones around me. Those are the only people that I get satisfaction from who I am, and they know me. Everyone else, if you like me or not, I don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have your own opinion of me. Okay? And I would say this about guys like Tone who work with me, guys who are around me every single day, guys who work with me every day, I have an affection for them too, because you know why? Here's the number one thing people say about me once you get around me and you're working around me for any kind of length of time. Damn, dude, you're nothing like people say you are. I'm not sure if that's a compliment. But at the end of the day, it just reaffirms what I think of other people. Okay, man, it makes years of ups and downs to be comfortable in one's skin. Oh my God, man. Early on, Tone, I was terrible at it. Every time somebody said something shitty about me, man, I'd melt down or I'd get crazy. I still do to some extent, but then my wife always tells me, and this is why I'm married 33 years, because she's my life partner, same with my aunt. I'm just like, hey, man, you're not going to appease everyone. You're just not. You grow on people, Sills. Hey, you know what? That's a great compliment, though, because that's kind of how my show has been, Twiz. Do you know how many people that listen to me and watch my show or in my 27-year radio career that I had? People say this, man, I couldn't stand you at first, but man, I love your show. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of what people say about me when they meet me. Man, I heard so many things about you, but having known you, you're completely different than what anybody says. I am my show. And Jason Kelsey comes off like that. He is who he is with his brother on that podcast. Okay? Look. Why in the world would I want to lose weight, Quan? Why? Watch my weight as I get older. So what? I could live 5 extra years and deny myself lobster, scoongeels, galamad. So what? I could add 3 years onto my life. Would you rather have a life that you enjoy yourself? Your entire life? However long that is, and God gives me the right to live on this earth. Or would you rather be worrying about the end? I don't worry about the end. If I died tonight, I had a great life. I had a wonderful life. I don't fear that shit. Okay? I don't fear it. It's funny, I loved you at first and then got mad at you for a bit and fell in love with you all over again. Dude, you sound like my old lady. Damn, Tone, you sound like my old lady. I don't know. Hey, sometimes my wife, she gets up, man, and she's just angry, man. And I know to stay away, so I don't say shit. Right? I just stay away. She'll come in there and she'll go, dinner served. And it'll be something like, hey, get this. I got to tell you guys, before we move on here, I know Jason Cole's coming around the corner here. But guys, hang on. Now you can't leave, right? So let's listen to this. Listen to this. I haven't even told my aunt this, and she's watching this. So my we're having a salad tonight. Big Sales could use a salad, I don't. Be good for you. So these crushed up beans, salad, those little grape tomatoes. I think there was some steak. I don't know what the hell else was on this thing. Started eating this thing. And you can always tell when I start eating, I pick up my food if I hate it. Don't you like it? I love it. She goes, salad's good for you. And I go, yeah. 7:30 at night. I waited all freaking day for this thing. Plate's got salad. I'm like, I know better not to open my face, or I'm eating crackers and water the next day. It's just not good. Do you like it? She's like, you hate it, don't you? I go, nope. Because this is how I look at life now. Get this. Hey, wait a minute. This is how I look at it. She makes 40 great, unbelievable meals. This thing was a train wreck. I mean, let me tell you this. I bought myself some Italian ice. I had 3 things of Italian ice. I was like, man. So she comes down the next day. She makes, she bought some shrimps. She put it over some pasta. Man, what a meal last night. She goes, oh, I see you devoured this meal. But the one before, I go, well, you know, I mean, you didn't have any hard-boiled eggs. Oh, man. This disgraceful, you got to come to Philly to get real water. Dude, wait, hold on for a second here. I had a nice-handed pasta Father's Day. That sounds nice. Let me ask you something about the Italian ice in Philly. How's the Italian ice in Philly? Italian ice in New York is spectacular. Okay? Italian ice in California. Dude, there's nothing great about Italian food in California. I mean, nothing. I have never eaten at a California Italian restaurant that I went, that's great. Absolutely not. See, there's some good seafood places, but Italian not a chance. Italian ice in Philly is A1 Big Sales. Oh, God. Man, I love Italian ice. My grandma and grandpa loved it too. There was the folks that raised me. Man. Oh. You know, down on the Jersey Shore too, in over Atlantic City, man, you get great Italian ice. Sills, you made my day today. You're fun. Hey, T, just remember something. This is just a little advice, okay, from Big Sills. Always go, I love my meal. Thank you so much. Or it's PJs and Kool-Aid. Like you're in cell block 7. Hey, what's for dinner? PJs, Kool-Aid. Great, please. Spaghetti Factory, Niner. Spaghetti Factory is not an Italian restaurant. Tony Romo's restaurant or the Olive Garden aren't Italian restaurants. They may have an Italian item on it, but that doesn't mean it's an Italian restaurant. Oatmeal. Look at Niner, man. I'll tell you what, though, Niner. Hold on here. North Beach and San Francisco, Pasta Pomodoro, they got some great, you know, DiMaggio's from North Beach. They got some, when I lived in San Francisco, dude, they got some really good Italian restaurants in North Beach. Hey, Niner, am I right? North Beach has got some really great Italian restaurants up at that neck of the woods up there, man. It's a really great Italian section down there. They got some good grub up there, too. Tony's Baltimore Grill, Atlantic City. Oh, man. And, dude, and just those places are so good. I'm not Italian. I don't know. It's all good, man. Don't worry. I know you're in more of a Napa guy. All right. I got Jason Cole coming on here in a minute. Remember what I told you. Be nice, okay? We're trying to get Eric Allen into the Hall of Fame. Dan, you have a lot of your facts incorrect. What are you saying, Gator Boy? Gator Boy, there's not a chance in hell that would bug me coming from a Gator fan. There's nobody on the planet who I hate more than Gators. Howie. Howie's a Gator. I'm telling you. This is one of the reasons probably that I have a little angst towards Howie. He's a Gator. I'm not kidding. Howie's a Gator. Dude, I got the map in. I'm a hurricane. Hey, Sills, do you like Howie? Yeah. Oh, hey, when I start getting twitchy, you know I'm lying. Sills, what do you make of Howie, man? Isn't he great? Yeah. He really does a nice job at really tooling up the Eagles. He's a heck of dude. The guy's really great. Pollard tore his ACL. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Tone, what was the injury? Had 1,000 yards, 371 yards receiving. Your facts are off, guy. Tone, what was the injury? A fibula. Wrong. Broke his leg. Wrong. Yes, he did. Don't ever trust a gator. Don't ever believe a gator. They'll never tell. Broke his leg. Right. That's not a knee. Yeah, you said ACL. Oh, boy. Do I have a conspiracy theory for my boy Jason Cole? And I am demanding justice from Jason Cole on this. Before I bring him in, now I know why the tampering was kept at a low simmer between the league, the Eagles, and the Cardinals. Before we do that, though, please make sure, go to Amazon. One day Jason will write a book. No, maybe he won't. But Jason, again, has written so many great books. Let's bring him up now. Our friend Jason. Right. At first, I wanted you to write a book. I think we're going to pass. I wanted you years ago. I think it would be interesting, but I don't think
it's a thing. It's a thing about a thing, and you don't want to talk about the thing that could be that thing that the other.
This guy knows so much about me, man, that if I met him, I might have to kill him.
Right, and that's why I'm writing that thing about that.
Okay, we're done there. Right. I want to throw something at you here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know the tampering charge, and wait a minute, the NFL admitted to tampering.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jason, why doesn't a guy who put $100 or $1,000 on the Super Bowl go back and sue the league for fraud when the fact that, and by the way, I'm not saying his interviewing the day before, and he got the job right after the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Monday.
All right. Whoa.
Hold on. Let me finish here. Hang on. You're telling me that these bettors who look at what people eat, going out at night, what kind of week you had, you're telling me that I would put the money wouldn't move and the line wouldn't move, which was 1.5, that if I found out that a guy was making bets, I'm having an interview the day before the Super Bowl or 2 days before the Super Bowl during Super Bowl week where the league admitted to fraud and the fact of tampering.
No. They admitted to tampering. Tampering is not fraud. Okay,
It's a fraudulent comment when they. Hey, wait a minute. You had a rule. You broke it.
Okay, so what? Like.
Would you bet on a team? See, would you bet on a team?
If you bet on sports, you get to take full responsibility for your bad decisions. Sorry, the league is not responsible to protect your bet. That is not what they do. Sorry. Okay.
So you don't.
I also, I'm sorry. The Church of Gambling needs protection from the state, and oh my God, here we go. Like, sorry, you don't have an aggrieved party that I feel sorry for. Okay. Yes, I understand gambling is part of the game. The NFL understands gambling is part of the game. They are in bed with gambling as part of what their wagering is. They do, daily fantasy and all those kinds of things, right? But, I'm sorry, if Gannon gets a phone call the day before the game or 2 days before the game because, the Cardinals GM wants to ask him some questions about what's going on, or they're doing whatever they're going to do. That's really a problem between the two teams, okay? It's not a problem between the league and the gamblers, because the league is not responsible to oversee everybody's phone calls.
Well, then why does the league put out an injury report every Thursday? That's for the gamblers.
Because
for anybody else.
they do that for the gamblers because they want to make sure that they do their best, okay, to control something that they know is going to get out. Okay, and so that everybody knows everybody's information equally, okay? Because what they don't want is they don't want somebody going out and paying a ton of money under the table to trainers to get that information. It does still happen, okay? There are plenty of trainers who are making cash on the side. I'm not talking about head trainers, but there are, low-paid guys on every team that are susceptible, okay, to having bettors, gamblers, guys like Billy Walters is probably the greatest one of all time, right? And I'm sure that there are low-paid people on every team who gamblers are trying to find out whatever information they can from those people. Okay, that happens. I know for a fact that happens. The NFL tries to safeguard that as much as it humanly can. But, stuff is going to leak out. Stuff's going to get out. That's the way it is. And that's why they do their best with the injury reports to say, okay, we have this kind of model so that we can get injury information out to the public because they want to know. And we're giving out doing it in the best way we possibly can. And obviously, different teams don't like doing it, don't putting it out there and make a farce out of it like the Patriots do and, occasional other teams. But the league's doing the best they can. That's all they can. And as far as a phone call from the GM to a defensive coordinator or whoever it happens to be.
Super Bowl week.
Okay, it happened. Hey, you know what? Parcells during Super Bowl week, famously, when he was coaching for the Patriots, was on the phone with the Jets all week. Affirmatively, him calling them, right? Patriots, Packers, Super Bowl week. He was on the phone calling to them, and better yet, he charged all the phone calls to the Patriots because he did it on the hotel phone. Okay? All right? That's the best part about it. He hung the Patriots out to dry on the bill. Okay? That's tampering. Okay? Stuff like this happens. Did it get in the way of some decision that happened in the game that could? I don't know. But,
if you're doing a job interview during the Super Bowl week.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's just I'm not taking this that seriously. You can make a Supreme Court case out of this and argue it on you can argue this on behalf of the Navajo Nation needing water rights. I'm just not doing this, okay? I am not giving any kind of compassion to people who put hundreds, if not thousands of dollars down on a game. Sorry, you're bad.
Well, the NFL is making such a big stink of it because, they don't want the players dipping into their little trough of gambling. They've got all these stupid ass rules.
Well, you don't want players.
I don't have a problem with a player gambling.
I have a problem. I have a problem with players gambling on the game itself that they play in. That's a problem. Okay.
Probably in season
out there gambling. It's not a healthy thing if guys are gambling on their own sport. Okay, and it's a problem enough if they're gambling and they're losing. The report that there's some star player who lost $8 million. That's a problem. Okay, for the league, it's a bad look, and it's unhealthy for guys to be in bed with gamblers. But it's also not the same thing as when Art Schlichter was placing bets with a bookie back in 1982. And was in for $700,000 that in 1 year,
making bets with Woody Hayes too.
Right, and the problem with that one was that it was not legal at the time. And you would worry about illegal bettors, illegal bookmakers leaning on a guy to throw a game. That's when you really start to worry about the game, and that's the thing that the league is scared out of their minds about, is the idea that somebody might throw a game.
Were you okay with Calvin Ridley's suspension of a full year?
No, I thought it was too much. I thought it was too heavy-handed.
Okay.
I thought half a year, or I thought 4 to 8 games.
You think they used him to make a point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean they want, and they may have to do it again with somebody else, because I don't think the players get it. I don't think they understand what's legal or not legal. Okay, now they may learn it, and it's going to take vigilance for guys to know what they can and can't bet on. But I think I would estimate that
I would thought maybe half the season, 6 games, probably somewhere between 6 and 8.
Yeah, right. Would have sent the same statement. I would also say this. Look, I think that probably about 60% of the players gamble on sports. I mean, you've been in a locker room, on a daily, more hours than I have, but I've been in a locker room a lot of time, and I've sort of, you talk to guys and you get a sense of what they, what they like to do and whether they gamble or not.
Jason,
I would say
exactly.
60% gamble in some level, whether it's 50
I'll tell you exactly. Back in the day, maybe you remember that they used to have these yellow sheets where you could pick college football games, and you could pick college games, and you would put a parlay together. Nobody was ever going to do that in the locker room, but you knew guys outside the area there, like in Tampa, and a guy would come up and go like this. Here's a sheet. A couple guys would have some sheets, and you'd bet $5, something like that, on 4 college football games over the weekend.
Yeah,
I never bet on any NFL games, though.
That's harmless stuff. I'm talking about guys who are betting, anywhere from a few hundred to a few thousand. I would say there's, it might be slightly less than 60% than that, but it's not far removed, because you're just talking about a set of guys who, they're interested in sports, and they've got some, they've got extra money, laying around. They want a little, juice on games. But is most of it legal? I think by and large, 99% of it is legal. What you want is to make sure that 1% doesn't blow up in your face.
Jace, here's something that DeMarcus Lawrence said today, and I want to give you, I want your take on this. And he said that the Cowboys have closed the gap, and the gap between them and the Eagles is not that wide. Now, I phrased it this way, Jace. For the totality of the season, in my opinion, I think the Eagles are set up more to win the Super Bowl than what maybe the Cowboys are. But when it comes to head-to-head competition, Dak Prescott he's 8-3 versus the Eagles in his career. So he has tremendous success against some pretty good Eagle football teams. And I put a chart here together. In a game between the Eagles and Cowboys, who do you think has the advantage, Cowboys or Eagles, between Hurts and Dak? He's 8-3 versus that Eagle organization, or against that. Yeah.
What is it since Hurts has been the guy? That's my question.
I think he's 2-2.
Okay, so it's
smaller sample size.
Yeah, it's smaller sample size. Look, Dak is.
He threw for 5 touchdowns last year against the Eagle number 2 defense. That's Dak Prescott.
Dak's a good quarterback. He's above league average. And I'll say this: he's probably a better pocket passer than Jalen. Jalen right now is a better overall player because he can hurt you in the running game, and I think that Jalen's going to close the gap in terms of being a pocket passer, and eventually
he's more consistent week in and week out.
Right. So I'd rather have everything that the Eagles have. If occasionally, because they know each other well enough, okay, the Cowboys split those games, or Dak has done well in the past and beaten the Eagles a few times. Okay, great. That's nice, the head-to-head. But if you don't look at those two teams and say the Eagles impress me, and say the Cowboys, okay, I'm waiting to see what they are. I just keep waiting to see. Like, we talk about this every year been talking about this forever, that the Cowboys always think that they're ready to print Super Bowl tickets when they win.
They've won 4 playoff games since 2000.
Right. Every time they have a winning record, like it's like, okay, start planning your trip to the Super Bowl. Hey, like, wait a second. Could you just pump the brakes just a little bit? Just help me out here and say, how about you accomplish a few things first? How about you like win your division? How about you get to the second round of the playoffs? How about you get to a conference championship? How about you do all these things? But it's a mentality, and I think it's all permeates with Jerry. Is Jerry takes small gains and projects them into, okay, we're now ready to become champions, and we're ready to parade ourselves and be the head of the league, and that mindset is just so dangerous for your team. But Jerry, that's what Jerry does all the time.
Jace, these last three here, and I'm going to put them together here for this last question here. Do you think this is fair criticism of the 49ers? And I put three questions that the Niners have to answer, I think, to dethrone the Eagles as NFC champions. I said, can the coach protect the quarterback? Can he win big games, Kyle Shanahan? And can he call a game where you're seeing consistency week in and week out? Can Kyle Shanahan answer all three of those? Do you think in his time in San Francisco he's answered any one of those?
Oh, I think he's the best. He's maybe the best play caller in the league. So,
but what's the result of it?
Maybe Andy Reid's better. I mean, look, they got to an NFC.
It sounds like he's put his name on the test, Jason, hasn't passed the test.
I'm just telling you what I watch, and what I see is a guy who's a really high level play caller. And I would hire Kyle Shanahan to be my coach anytime. And now, that is not to say he is perfect, okay? Because he hasn't won a Super Bowl, and he's got, he's made mistakes, okay? But I think the design of his offense, the way that he structured the team, the way he's built both the defense and the offense, and how they complement each other, like they're really they're a great team, okay? And the fact that they got to their third quarterback, and granted, the kid is gifted and different, okay, but he's still just, he's just a guy, right? I mean, he was a rookie out there playing, and if he doesn't get his arm snapped in half basically last year in the first half of that game, that's a heck of a playoff game between the 49ers and the Eagles. Now, so if we go back over it, yeah, did he not protect the quarterback? Was it not perfect? Yes. Does Kyle Shanahan fall in love with his play calling a little bit too much? Does he need what his old man had next to him, which was Alex Gibbs next to him telling him, run the ball, right? Does he need more of that at certain times? Yes. Is he perfect? No. But would I take that guy over, except for Reed and Belichick, and I'd have to think.
How about McVay?
I'd take him over McVay.
Wow.
I think he's no question in my mind.
McVay's been to 2 Super Bowls and won one at 36 years old.
I understand that, but I think Kyle Shannon's a better coach. I just really do believe that. And that's not to say McVay's any kind of slouch. I like what Shanahan does. Like I think McVay is a lot closer to being out the door.
I do too.
Okay, and I think McVay is a burnout.
I think he wants to be the next Gruden, like in the.
He wants to. But just the money's not there to walk away from coaching yet.
Yep.
Okay, so let's just put it this way. I love Kyle Shanahan. That again, I see the imperfections of Kyle Shanahan, and I don't think he's had the perfect quarterback. And I think he's one of these guys who's always nitpicking his own quarterback. Okay, always looking for that perfect guy, and his dad had some of that too. But when he has the weapons all arranged and has a guy who knows what he wants to do, it's pretty sensational to watch. And Brock Purdy is so bright and knows how to make this thing function. if he's healthy, they got shot, especially in what's a depleted NFC. I'd look at it that way.
Absolutely. Folks, make sure you go to Amazon and get Jason's book. He is a must read. He is my friend, and I love chopping it up with you, talking football always. Hey, by the way, real quick, when do you guys put the list together for potential thought process?
I think it's July is when we get the first, like the 125 to 150 list. We already looked over one list, the really massive list, and it gets cut down to like, again, 125, 150.
What is that number, Jace? Does it go 120, 50? Then you work the process.
It goes 125 to 25, and then 25 down to 15, and then the 15 get into.
Holy cow!
It's not that hard. I'll say this: it's not. I don't like
150 to 25, 125 to 150 to 50. That's a big drop.
Of course it is, but you're talking about. I mean, it's not as hard as you think. Okay, and
you're
that's
right.
not.
There's guys who just go like this. I don't think so.
Well, you get guys who just recently retired. Okay, they had a nice career, but he ain't making the Hall of Fame.
You think McNabb's a Hall of Famer?
No, I thought he had a chance, and then the end of his career just went like that. And it really shouldn't have. He wasn't that old at the end of his career, but he just nosedived at the end of his career. I thought he was on track to do that, but the numbers aren't explosive enough. They're not big enough. Like it's not a Dan Fouts like career.
No, 36. I think 36 or 37,000 passing yards, 250 something.
It's a really nice career. It's not quite there. I got a big thought debate in my head, and unfortunately I haven't had to argue about this guy yet because he hasn't been removed from it long enough. But what happens when Phillip Rivers? Eli I've thought a lot about. But Phillip Rivers.
I don't think Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
There are some days where I'm convinced absolutely not, and there are some days where I'm like, okay, I really want to hear the argument because
500 record. I mean,
two Super Bowls in New York.
So did Plunkett.
I understand, but Plunkett also got.
I get it.
Plunkett's first 9 years in the league are.
Do you think Rivers?
It's not Plunkett's. It's not Plunkett's fault. Okay?
No,
because he played for a really bad organization in New England, a horrendously bad organization, and then went to San Francisco when they were horrible too. That's an unfair one, but that's the way it goes. Like Archie Manning was a terrific player. He's never going to have a shot. Yeah, I mean, Archie Manning was a terrific player, but he's never.
How about Bledsoe versus Rivers?
Rivers, I don't think it's even much of a debate.
You think Rivers Hall of Famer?
I think it's close. I think it's really close. His numbers are up there, and I haven't put it in real perspective, measuring his numbers against other guys in the Hall of Fame.
Don't you always think he's modern day Dan Fouts?
That's the best comp. Like, is he really the modern day Dan Fouts? I have to look at it, because let's just say this: Phillip Rivers played in what was the greatest era of quarterbacking in the history of the league, and some of that is the talent that played. The guys who played out there. The Bradys, the Mannings, all those guys. And some of it is the rules, okay, were structured to make it a passing game, okay? So I have to do a much deeper dive, but he's a really healthy discussion.
How about Frank Gore?
Yes, Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer.
Never the dominant running back, though, in any era, but he's third all time. Jace, how much do you put longevity as because look, you have
I'm going to put it in this perspective. I grew up in Los Angeles, a Dodgers fan, right? And Don Sutton was never a dominant pitcher, right? But he was always a solid number 3 starter, sometimes a number 2 starter. Okay, but never lights out, no question, dominant number 1 starter. Right? I know this is baseball versus football, but Don Sutton took the ball every 5th day, sometimes every 4th.
300 game winner.
And won 324 games. This was as steady as they come for 24 years, right?
Can I ask you something on this?
Like there's something that counts for something.
How about this, Jace?
Mhm.
Don Sutton had a better career than Sandy Koufax, but Sandy Koufax was a more dominant player over 6 years than any pitcher, especially lefty, in the game. And when you're looking at NFL guys who like Terrell Davis or Gale Sayers in the past, I know you didn't vote on him, but Terrell Davis and those guys, is that how you put in perspective how you look at certain guys? Because I think it's a fair way to look at someone's career. How dominant, like when you look at Koufax, you understand he only won 167 games in his career. Frank Viola won more. And you would never go Frank Viola, Sandy Koufax. But you look at Koufax and then you look at Don Sutton. Don Sutton was never Sandy Koufax, but he won 320 plus games. How do you like put those two together and go, well, this guy's a Hall of Famer, so is this guy.
You don't compare them. You have to, like, there's a number of factors. It's a smell test. Okay. When you say Sandy Koufax is the left arm of God.
He sure is.
Okay. Like, and for a period of time, there was no one who could touch him. Nobody. Okay. All right. It was just magical. Okay. And I was just a kid, all right, a little kid, but I've seen the highlights. I've read the books. It's just out of control how great he was. And then there's the flip side of guys who they're lunch pail guys. The lunch pail guys, they've got to be really good to great over a long period of time to earn that stripe. Some guys have the magic. Terrell Davis had the magic that he demonstrated in the playoffs that was so dominant. I mean, he was on pace over 8 games. Terrell Davis had rushed for, I think, 1,100 yards. If you project that, that's 2,200 or 2,300 yards in a 16-game season in playoff caliber football against playoff teams, right?
Yeah.
He was dominating people in the playoffs and had 4 great seasons to go along with it. That's Hall of Fame material in my view.
Absolutely. Jace, I got to tell you real quick before we leave here. So I used to live in Heathrow, Orlando, and I'm running, and I see this guy coming my way, and I go back to my wife, and I go, I think I just saw Sandy Koufax. She's like, what? I run by, I see him again. And finally, I'm running. He notices, and I stopped him. I go, sir, are you Sandy Koufax? He goes, I listened to your show. Yes. I went, I said, you're Sandy Koufax. And he went like this. Yes. And I go, can I get you? He goes, I don't do any interviews. Do you know this? And I go, I had to ask though, but my God almighty, can you please sign this? And he goes, absolutely. I listened to you. I love you get Carlton Fisk. And dude, you should have seen me. I'm like a little kid and I'm going, I'm telling you that's Koufax.
Sandy, I mean, Jesus, people don't understand. Like,
hey, get this, Jason. Lasorda told me a story that they were preparing for the 81 World Series, and they had Sandy come in down to Dodger Town, down in the old where they used to be in Florida.
Yeah.
So finally, Garvey comes over to Lasorda and goes, hey, listen, can you please tell him we're trying to get some batting practice here? And so he's like 47 years old. And like Lasorda goes out to the mound and he goes like this, Sandy, saying these guys need some hits. They need to do some hitting. You're striking everybody. He goes, oh, okay, you're right. He's just throwing like hooks.
Oh yeah, let me throw this, and then I'll throw you a rising fastball in the 90s and stuff like that.
90s.
Yeah.
That's being kind. Hey,
I know,
Jason.
I'll see
Always
you.
great talking to you, my friend. I appreciate it.
All right, dude. We'll talk to you later.
You got it, man. The great Jason Cole there, too. Thank you guys so much for coming aboard. We had a ton of fun today, did we not? Yeah, man. Hey, get this. So, hey, I'm walking like this, and I go, that's Sandy Koufax. I know it is. I go to my wife, and I go, excuse me, are you Sandy Koufax? Yeah. I went, get out of here. He started laughing. He goes, hey, I go, get out. Like I was a kid. I go, sir, man, can you sign my arm? I was just, dude, man, it was like meeting God when you met him, man. He was so unbelievable. Unreal, man. Guys, thank you guys so much for coming aboard. I totally appreciate it. Xander, Big Joe, thank you guys so much. By the way, the great news about King of Prussia Hooters, that's going to be the new home for the National Football League show. National Football show this coming fall and such. We really appreciate that. Filling everybody. Tone, spectacular stuff as always. And he's going through the move and he's still doing the Big Sills show. Appreciate that very much. Thank you, Tone. 3 to 6 tomorrow. We'll see you on the flip side.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind